Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Blake's Wellness Lab. I want to thank everyone for coming back to check out my video today. Today we are going to be discussing New Year's resolutions and goals for 2025. It's a very important topic and one that a lot of people talk about this time of year going into the new year, about all the goals that they have, all the aspirations, and all of the things that they hope to accomplish. I want to go through some of the major topics. I also want to talk about ways that you can form and structure, implement, and act upon all of your goals by taking measurable steps to keep yourself accountable and ultimately very successful this coming year and beyond. Some of the topics that we are going to be covering are going to be health and fitness, finances, relationships and social life and your lifestyle, as well as personal growth. So I'm going to be breaking down each of those categories for you today and ways that I'm doing my New Year's resolutions and goals for 2025, and some of the little tips and tricks that I have for you so that hopefully you can implement these into your goals and resolutions for the new year and ultimately have a wonderful 2025. Let's get started. So first, in order to look forward to 2025, we have to look back on 2024. I think it's important to know what you accomplished in 2024 and all of the things that you did not accomplish in 2024, and then look at the ways in which you struggled, the ways in which you were successful, and then break those down. We need to reflect on those areas so that we know what you need to work on going into 2025 and how to correct those things as well. For 2025, we need to set SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So if you put all of those things together, it's going to make things a lot more practical and a lot more attainable for these goals. Starting with health and fitness, what is your goal for 2025? You need to think about that and get that on paper. And then from there, we need to start breaking that down into a lot shorter goals. Okay? I'm a big fan of setting small and practical goals so that way when you achieve that goal, you get a small win. And then as you rack up those small wins, it's going to give you more motivation. You're going to feel better and you're going to be more likely to reach that ultimate goal by the end of 2025. Let's say it's lose 50 pounds. Well, you're not going to lose 50 pounds in the first few months, but you can set a goal to lose 7 pounds per month, perhaps. And then we need to think about, how are you going to do that? What were you doing in 2024 that led you to all of this weight gain or not losing any weight last year? Ultimately, if you sit down and think about it, you're going to know. You're going to know. You drank soda pop. You went out drinking beer all the time with your friends. You were eating a ton of carbohydrates. You love the donuts, the cakes, whatever it may be. You can recognize those things and write it down. Start to recognize, this is the area that I messed up on, and this is how I can improve. When it comes to finances, I think a great goal to have is to be able to save up some money. There's a statistic that frequently goes around that says roughly about 75% of US households are paycheck to paycheck. This is not a good thing. You need to have some money saved up in case there's an emergency, in case you have some sort of health event or a loved one has something happen to them, you have a small fund. So I think that that is a common and a really good goal to have going into 2025. Even if you are financially ahead, maybe you want a second or a third bank account that you can have some money set aside. So I think that's a really good one for finances. Also, are you in debt? Do you have a plan of how you can get out of debt? Can you write that down? What your end goal is, and then how you can take small steps, whether it's cutting out certain things in your budget, memberships, all of the different things that they rack up monthly costs. You can look at these things ultimately when you're setting up your goals. Relationships and family. What are some areas that you did well in 2024, and what are some areas that you want to improve on in 2025? Is it with a spouse? Is it with a brother or sister? Is it with your children? Think of things that you want to accomplish with them to build a better relationship moving forward. Next, when it comes to personal growth, what are some things that you want to accomplish in that realm? Do you want to be able to read a book or several books? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to be successful in other areas of life? Get those thoughts on paper and start to think about what you want to accomplish in that realm this year. When taking the steps to accomplishing all of these goals, you must do it slowly but surely. Like I just mentioned, start small and work towards the bigger goals. Set those smaller goals What I am personally doing is going month by month. In January, I have a set list of goals in all of the categories that we outlined. For me, it's about building repetition. It's about getting into the swing of doing things and developing these new habits that I know are going to lead to success. So for me, I've broken down January into all of the different categories and how I'm going to methodically go about that and get into a good, healthy, and strong routine so that that way, as we get into the months ahead, I'm going to set myself up for success for the end of this year. Some of the things that you can do to help track your progress that I'm a big fan of and I'm implementing for myself this year that I've gotten away from in the years past, but I know are super good, and so I'm going to be doing that again, is using journals and also checklists. So I'm going to have personally a checklist every single day for my food where I write down what I ate, when I ate, how it made me feel. Also for me, some of my blood glucose levels and ketone levels, so that way I can actually see on paper how that looks and relate it to how I feel, and that will ultimately help me accountable for my eating. So that's just one example. Also, I have a checklist for all of the healthy habits that I like to perform every single day, such as stretching, such as walking my dog, getting sunlight, getting fresh air, getting out into the outside world. Another tip that I have is to be flexible, okay? We're setting big goals and we have a lot of different steps that we are going to go through to accomplish it this year. So you have to be gentle on yourself, okay? So many times, myself included, patients and clients that I have, if we get off the bandwagon, we tend to freak out. Let's say you have family come into town for a long weekend and you go out, maybe you drink alcohol, maybe you have a bunch of crappy food and you feel bad. And then Monday comes around, they take off, and you're like, well, I already screwed up, whatever, what's another day? Then that turns into another week, could turn into a month, and you get off the rails. So one thing you can do for yourself is to be gentle. Recognize, hey, I just screwed up, I don't feel well, I have goals, so I'm going to forgive myself. That's okay, it happens. I'm getting back on track right now. That's one thing we all fall victim to. So keep that in mind with your 2025. Let's say you go strong for 2 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, but then something happens and you fall off. That's okay. Get right back on the bandwagon. Give yourself a little pat on the back and say, hey, get back in the game. Let's go. Also, I think it's important to celebrate milestones. For me, it's going to be monthly, and maybe even there'll be some other times where I just feel really great about the progress that I made, and you can celebrate a little bit. But just know yourself and what you can and can't celebrate with. Just because you did well doesn't mean you've got to go out and have a gigantic pizza and a beer and then think you're going to be fine. For me, I can't do anything of the sorts because I will get off track. But whatever it is in your wheelhouse, give yourself a little celebration. Maybe it's go to the beach for the weekend. Maybe it's call up a friend and you take a little trip. Something nice if you so choose to do so. So for the big areas going into 2025, such as I mentioned, health, which includes eating and exercise, I like to emphasize meal prepping and walking every single day. From there, you can expand upon that. Exercise. If you haven't been exercising, start small. Build a small little program. 10 or 15 minutes of stretching, 10 or 15 minutes of aerobic activity, or a little bit of resistance training. I think that's a great place to start. If you've already been in that realm pretty good, take it to the next level. Maybe add some weights in. Maybe make it a point to go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or something of the sorts, depending on your work and life schedule. For tracking habits, as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of journaling, writing things down, having checklists, and things of that nature. It helps me to keep myself accountable, because if I'm not writing stuff down and my thoughts are running wild and okay, I did this, I didn't do this, I like to have a log so I can that way keep track of everything. And then depending on if it's my morning routine or my evening routine, I can always refer to that. Plus it helps me memorize the things that I want to do, and then it becomes second nature, so that maybe down the road I won't even need to have a log. But it's a really great idea, and I'm going to be practicing that myself this year. Finances. Huge goal that a lot of us have for 2025. I'm a big fan of creating a monthly budget and automating savings, so that way you can work on your goal. Another thing in the financial realm is to cut out the unnecessary memberships. Maybe take a minute, sit down, go through all of your memberships, and take a hard look and see what you think you might be able to cut out going into 2025. There are lots of really good memberships that are good for your health, good for your mental health, good for your well-being. So by all means, keep those. I'm a big fan of having things easy and convenient and cost effective. So by all means, keep the ones that make sense, but also look at some of the ones that don't make any sense that you especially think, do I really need that? And maybe cut those free. Relationships. When it comes to relationships, you should be prioritizing meaningful connections and improving communication with your loved ones. That definitely leads to a lot more success. So maybe set aside some goals in that realm. I'm personally doing that myself. Personal growth. When it comes to this, what are your hobbies? Do you want to do a side hustle? Do you want to educate yourself further? Do you want to go back to school? What about mental health? Are you going to be implementing any practices like mindfulness, yoga, other things that can really help? Also including exercise. That's a big one for me. Unfortunately, in 2024, on my birthday in November, I suffered a clavicle fracture that was a pretty bad one that I ended up actually having an ORIF, which is an open reduction internal fixation, where they placed a nice plate and 6 screws in. And so I am just now recovering from that. I'm about 7 weeks after the fact, starting to feel a lot better, but rehabilitation and physical activity is going to be a huge one for me, as in 2024, I started off very strong, doing extremely well, but life happened, stressfulness happened, moving across the country, lots of different things, and so I got off track with that. So in 2025, that's going to be a huge goal for me. So come along for the ride. What are your goals going into 2025 for fitness and for health? Please share down below and let me know here. Also, when it comes to time management, this is also a very important one that I'm going to be trying to focus in on as well by setting daily achievable goals. A lot of times I have a list this long of things I need to do, and ultimately that can throw me off mentally. I can get overwhelmed, and then I'll end up doing things that I don't even really need to do, but it's just something because I'm trying to put off the things that really matter. So for myself, I'm trying to lay out achievable goals bit by bit so that I can go through these methodically. And then, like I said earlier, the small wins. As I get something done that I know needs done that I haven't done in a month or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, and I get that done, I go, yes, that's awesome. What's next? Do another small goal. Okay, boom, that's done. Check it off the list. So having those things that you need to get done laid out, I think will ultimately lead you to better time management and reduce stress in your life. All right, everyone, in closing, I just want to thank everyone for coming over today, taking the time to watch the video. I do believe that a lot of the little tips and tricks and things that we've discussed as far as New Year's resolutions and goals going into 2025 will help you succeed and have a great year and beyond. So thank you, and please comment down below anything that you guys are working on, anything that you think I should cover in the future on upcoming videos. I'd appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you get alerts when I put out my next video, and share it with family, friends that you might think enjoy this content and benefit from it. Thank you so much, and I appreciate everyone. We'll see you on the next one.